I'll go very quickly through the ground rules again. Mobile phones on silent. If they're ringing, I do answer them. Please no videoing. I'm videoing, but please don't video. You have to take photos if you want. Otherwise, no heckling, no shouting out, and keep your talking to a minimum. You guys are absolutely brilliant in the first section. I'm certainly going to be absolutely brilliant in the next two sections. So let's see, who wants to be our cheerleader? Randy, you want to be our cheerleader? And that's all you have to do is start by clapping. We're going to cheer. Welcome to the stage, Nik Hill, so we're going to do that. Let's have a little practice. There we go. Welcome to the stage, Nik Hill.
Let me just savour this moment because this is the closest I've been to two fucking doctors for years. A lot of acts will start with "It's nice to be here." I don't do that. I'm sure you're all lovely once I scratch the surface of this hard exterior, but it's not the only reason I don't do it. I did a gig last year in a fairly posh village in the Cotswolds, and I just went on. I said, "Oh, it's really nice to be in Ashton Keynes," and straight away, this woman at the back stood up and said, "Excuse me, young man. I know it's spelled Keynes, Keynes, but in the village we prefer to pronounce it Keynes. Is that okay?" I said, "It's absolutely fine. Got to be honest, does make you sound like a bit of a pretentious can't." I spell that C-A-N-T, but you can pronounce it, and I've not been asked back, to be honest. I was going to bring my wife up with me today, but she's not in a particularly good mood. Just give you an example, right? It was her birthday today. I got her a spa day. That was wrong. Apparently she hates grocery shopping. We did dry January this year. We still drank, just no sex. We celebrated Valentine's Day, and I did the romantic thing. I phoned the florist and said, "I'd like to order some flowers for my wife." I said, "Would you like a card?" I said, "Yes, please." She said, "What do you want on the card?" I said, "I'll just put to live on my love nib." And then she said, "Would you like a kiss on the bottom?" Well, brilliant. I could be there in 20 minutes. She went, "No." She went, "No, I meant on the bottom of the card." I said, "I know, I'm a comedian, I was just making a joke." And quick as a flash, she said, "I bet you don't get many gigs," which I thought was We did celebrate Valentine's Day, and we were just chatting, and Lynn said, "Can you remember how we met?" I said, "Yeah, I had an ad in the Lonely Hearts column." She said, "Well, actually, you had two, but I only replied to one." I didn't know that. I said, "Did you? Why was that?" She said, "Well, in the second one, you put your height, right?" I didn't realise she had an issue with my height or lack of it. I think the signs were all there the following week, because I suggested we go to Old Townsend today. She said, "Really? Just for you to go on 2 rides?" We're celebrating 25 years of marriage this year, and she sort of complains she thinks the romance has gone out of our relationship. I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, maybe on those rare occasions when we are being intimate, it would be nice to have some music playing in the background." So my first problem was finding a track that lasted 33 seconds. We were getting down to it, and I put the first song on, Angels by Robbie Williams, off the bat. There or thereabout. I've got to be honest, I think the mood changed when song number 2 came on. The theme for Match of the Day. But and she moans to me as well. She said, "As you're getting older, you're getting far more irritable, you're getting far more grumpy." But I don't mind sharing with you. I've got issues, okay? I have got issues. Well, I say issues. Let's call them by their proper name, shall we? Fucking kids. I've got three girls, one of my own, 2 I inherited, 29, 42 and 44. I really must make an effort to remember their names, but they all get treated exactly the same way, with utter contempt, in the same way they treat me. I was telling them, they came round for Christmas, and I was just discussing a programme I've seen about the melting of the polar ice caps, and I said, of course, the people that are most going to be affected are the Eskimos. Jesus Christ, they went off on me. You cannot use that word. That is so discriminatory. I said, look, I was born in 1958. It's just an expression. I don't mean anything by it. And then they said, the thing is, the trouble with you, you don't know anything about discrimination because you've never been discriminated against. I said, right, hang on. I applied for a gig last year. It said acts wanted, particularly those of LGBT persuasion or POC. I phoned up, so I'm interested in the gig. They said, are you LGBT? I said, no, I'm not. They said, are you a POC? I said, yes, I am. They said, what colour are you? I said, ginger. And they put the phone down. I struggled as a kid being ginger. The name calling was relentless. Carrot top, ginger nut, Duracell, you little ginger wanker. And I can remember saying, Dad, just leave it. It wasn't just my father, my mother was equally as bad. January 1963, right, I was 5. Just gone back to school after the Christmas break, and I come home, Mum was in the kitchen. I said, can I ask you a question? She said, what is it? I said, well, all the other little boys in my class were talking about the presents they had Christmas Day. She said, and? I said, well, I didn't get any presents, did I? She said, no, you didn't, and there's a very good reason for that. I said, was it because I was naughty before Christmas? She said, no, it's not that. And she looked me straight in the eye. I was 5. She looked me straight in the eye and said, Santa don't stop for ginger kids. I am getting older, and I know death is looming. That's a fucking cheery thing to look forward to. And my mum died in 2019, and I had to go and sort her bits and pieces out, and she had a funeral sorted out with the clock, and I went in. And said, oh, I'm Nik Hill, her son, I'm here to sort out my mum's funeral. She would take a seat. I sat down and said, how old are you before we start? I said, what's that got to do with it? I'm 63. She said, have you got a funeral plan? I went, no. Well, you should, because you could go at any time. Great. I said, well, what does it entail? She said, basically, if you give us $3.5 grand now, we can plan the whole thing for you. So you could be buried, cremated, you can choose where you want the wake to be, you could have food, you could put some money over the bar, you could tell people to wear fancy dress, you could have a band, you could have a disco, you could even have a comedian, whatever you want, you can have it. We had a conversation for 10 minutes, and at the end of it, I was looking forward to my own fucking death. Listen, you've been absolutely delightful. Thank you very much. My name's Nik Hill.